Jack, I guess I missed that radio thing where you said mediocrity. Kind of what you mean by that?
Well, Bo has, you know, some very direct questions. I don't know how I got around to giving my opinion, you know, but that was my perspective from the outside looking in. I didn't know on the inside, but I knew that how they were recruiting, people from the outside, how they perceived of playing Arkansas, is they were just, the perception is they were mediocre, perception of reality. And when when you got to go somewhere else to get players, what your perception is the distance away, and it was. People walk up to me and talk to me about football, and Arkansas always came up, and everybody thought they were mediocre. They felt like they were no threat to them. And that ain't good. That ain't good. You know, they might not have the best team, but you better watch out for those Hogs. That ain't gone. And so, I just made a comment about it.
And this was after Bobby got fired, and the last 6 years have not been very good.
Yeah, and that didn't include Bobby. But yeah, it was shortly after I got. That's probably about 2016.
What makes you feel like Chad can change this?
Well, I know a lot of his coaches, and I know they're going to be good in living rooms, and that's where you build the road. You know, back is through recruiting, and you build the road back one living room at a time. And I think Chad's got that access to Texas that had been lost. Chief is going to have inroads into Louisiana. I can just see that this staff was put together, and Chad was at Clemson, probably one of the best recruiting environments in the country was at Clemson. And he functioned well there. If nothing else, he learned how they did it. I thought they did it better than anybody when I was there. So I don't think there's any question that, I don't know how quickly it's going to happen. But I think mediocrity is going to be resolved. But it's got to be resolved a lot of times in the minds of the coaches, the players, and the fans. It's got to be thought before it can be acted. So I think it will be.
Did you get a chance to see the stadium upgrade? And
oh yeah, I was in there. I touched base with Dean Weber, Quinn Grovey, and Clorinda, who was still the secretary there. And so I go by there to see Clorinda, and all of a sudden I just forgotten how many of those people I knew. So I got to see everything, yeah, and have a conversation with Chad and a lot of the coaches, all the coaches.
What'd you think of it?
Oh shoot, SEC mind, which is the reason Frank, made the move, because it gave the long-term security to the to the program. That's a lot of television, but you better spend it wisely, and buying out coaching contracts ain't very good use of money.
Arkansas is getting ready to play Eastern Illinois.
Yeah.
And you've been on both sides. You've been on the big upsets. It happened to you at Arkansas, and you did it to Ole Miss when you were at Jackson State. Of course, Kim was on that staff too. What's your take on how these matchups? Especially
all of them are dangerous. We got beat by the Citadel. There've been some other kinds of games that have been lost, FCS games that have been lost in Arkansas. And Nick Saban lost to Monroe. I mean, what was just appalling at the time it happened happens. But you only have to worry about Eastern Illinois when their quarterback's name ends in an O. Garoppolo and Romo, which are the two guys I got. As long as that guy's name doesn't end with an O, I don't see it being much of a problem.
They're two guys that ends in a Y.
Oh, okay.
So they're going to be okay?
Yeah, they're going to be all right.
And from a coaching standpoint, when you're the big school, how do you prepare for these games? And when you're the smaller school, how do you prepare for the games?
Well, you make it about, play your game. Don't play up or down at the level of who you think you're playing against. Play your game, advance your game. You're either going to be better or worse after playing this game. So you challenge yourself beyond what you might be challenged by. And the other side of this is some of those guys are going to be better than what you think they are. I mean, there are plenty of guys at FCS schools that can walk right in. The best offensive lineman at Auburn transferred from UMass for one last year. He's the best. There are guys at that level that can play. Now, don't get lined up, not be prepared, and have somebody come out there and knock your head around before you figure out, this guy's a player. So, don't put a brand on him Evaluate them for who they are. Forget about the brand.
Looking back at that winning at Ole Miss, I think you guys were down 31-10 at halftime. So it wasn't just a win; it was an incredible comeback.
Yeah.
Well, where does that rank in your coaching career, given the odds?
There was only one of those kind of games, really. It was a locker room that was different, and it's just something, that you. I'll tell you, a comparable locker room was being down at halftime at TCU in 1990. They were 5-0. We were down a bunch of points. But it ranks, that TCU, that locker room changed that football team. I mean, we were going to accept mediocrity and getting our butt kicked around like we had the year before, or we weren't. And that was the same thing at Ole Miss. I told you, you're either going to play the best football you can play, or you're going to say you came over here to pick up a check. I also threatened them with an inch of their life. But, there are ways, and as they started to play down, we started to play up. And when that happens, it's hard to reverse the way things go. If your team ever goes in the locker room 31-10, it's probably a setup emotionally. We can get our act going. They played down, we played up the second half.
You're playing a season opener and you're haven't completely settled on a quarterback. You're already committed to playing two. Is that hard to?
It's very hard. It's very hard. You got to make a lot of gut calls. I mean, we just saw a real Saban doing like this when he had to talk about it. It makes the coach nervous. But you're going to have to make a call right there in the moment. Because what you think you know and what you know when that ball gets kicked off might not necessarily be the same thing. So, you got to be ready to change.
That Citadel game, you guys obviously weren't playing great. You probably win it 3-0 if they don't pass that rule where they can advance the fumble.
You remember this?
Did you ever think about that? Did you ever think about what would happen if you guys, win that game? It's an ugly win, but you win the game, and then
I've thought about a lot of things. Listen, I'm happy about where I am, and I don't know that having won that game that my life would have turned out any better. That's really right. I mean, I've had incredible, coaching experiences. They don't have to have them, in the SEC. They can have them everywhere. I've had incredible experiences. My family, I'm happy at 70 years of age, and I got the biggest challenge I've ever had with this coach safety deal. So still got some. Most coaches, by the time they hit 70, they don't know how to. If they don't play golf and fish, and they're in trouble. And I have something that I can do, so I can't do anymore.
I think a lot of people they think of Nick Saban. He's just kind of this robotic, cold-hearted guy that all he cares about is crushing the other team. And it's interesting you say right in the heat of recruiting, which we all know what a recruiter is, and yet he takes the time to call Alabama legislatures to help you out. What do you think that says about him? And maybe that's a side of him a lot of us don't know.
I think there is a big side. He wouldn't be able to recruit those players if it was all business. Talk about win a living room. I think he can win a living room. That's not what you see in a press conference. I think there's an underbelly to this guy, and I got a sense of it when I reached out and he responded. And I tell you, I know Nick. I've known Nick for a long time. He's had coaches I recommended to him, but I really was shocked when he responded like that.